Welcome to ASMR Money Mentor. This is Evan Thomas coming at you with another video today. No hat, no special effects, nothing but information that I wanted to share with you guys. If you wanted to be on the show, remember, I would like to do case studies, success stories in 2025, and I've had a few of you reach out to me, which is wonderful, and I'm putting together stories of people just like you that are doing really great things with money, or maybe they just need my help as a money coach. So part of financial literacy is having awareness to where you are at any given time, and also letting somebody look at your money objectively so they can give you some input on things that maybe you have not seen. So as the years go by, you can do better and better with money. So in this video, what I'd like to do is share with you my experience of 2012 being a guest on the Susie Orman Show. And in front of me, I have my laptop. You can't see it at all, actually. But what I'm going to do is take information that they gave me to be on the show, and what I'd like you to do is take a few notes. Because if you want to be on the show and write to me at evanthomasbroke@yahoo.com, you can give me information relative to what you're going to be seeing in this episode today. And as I mentioned, then I can then share with everybody how you're doing. So the first tab of this spreadsheet and the information that I would need for you to be on the show is, of course, your income. So that's the very first thing I would want you to think about, providing to me your take-home pay. So what that means is after taxes are taken out, what is actually in your paycheck? For me in 2012, it was $3,336. Now, income can include things like alimony, child support, unemployment, Social Security if you're already retired, dividends. Well, you could be taking Social Security for other reasons too. Dividends, I suppose, if you're living on income from dividends, which most people are not if they're not retired. Pension, retirement plans, rental income, investment income, bonuses, or anything else. And then the total would be income. So for me in 2012, the first thing I gave them to be on the show was my income was $3,336, my take-home pay. The next thing on this tab is home expenses. Things like rent, mortgage, if you're making extra mortgage payments, mortgage 3, mortgage 4, well, that'd be 2 and 3 actually. Home equity line of credit, property taxes, association dues, maintenance fees, telephone, cell phone, internet, cable, electricity, gas, heating oil, and other fuels, water, and public services, repairs, garden, firewood, lawn, yard care, snow care, housekeepers, alarm system, carpet cleaning, pool and hot tub, tree trimming, etc. So for me in 2012, I had my mortgage, principal, interest, and taxes were all wrapped up into the payment of $587. But you guys might remember I was making extra mortgage payments when I was a guest on her show. So I put down $600 as my extra mortgage payment. Association dues. Wow, in 2012 electricity. You know, that's pretty comparable to what it is now, actually. Repairs. I only had $10 a month for repairs. That seems, well, not much have I done really for repairs in the condo. I mean, I've done normal things through the years, but I guess I just wanted to put down something for that. And then that's all I had for home expenses. So my total for home expenses was $1,630. As I scroll down, then vehicle transportation expenses is next. So it has things like car number 1, car number 2, gas, maintenance and repairs, public transportation, parking lots, tolls, easy passes, parking tickets, satellite radio, AAA, etc. So for me in 2012, my vehicle transportation expenses was $108 for gas. For vehicle maintenance and repair, I put $80. And I did have AAA back then. For $5 a month. Total vehicle expenses, $193. Because I had no car payment at all. I bought my car outright in 2013. Well, this was 2012. So at that time I had a Mazda Miata. Obviously I owned that one outright. And then I bought the new one outright as well. Insurance expenses. Things like homeowners insurance or renters, mortgage insurance, health insurance, life insurance, disability, long-term care, dental, umbrella, accidental death, cancer, vision care, prescription, Medigap, accident insurance, car insurance, boat, motorcycle, recreational vehicle, pet health, flood, earthquake, hurricane, malpractice, etc. So for insurance expenses at the time, for me in 2012, $91 a month for my insurance. Okay, that's about right. $98 a month for auto insurance. And flood was about $15 a month through FEMA. So my total insurance expenses were $204. Now as you scroll down, the next thing I would need to know are things like food and grocery expenses. Things like groceries, household supplies, warehouse, restaurants, eating out, tobacco supplies and smoking, alcoholic beverages, and then add your own. So for me, I put $292 a month for groceries, and on the column on the right it says I travel about 30% of my time. And of course they pay for food. And I remember the producer had questioned me about that as far as, how much I spent on groceries, which at the time, because I was traveling that much, it was lower, I guess, than normal. For restaurants and eating out, I have $100. And that's it. So for food and groceries, it's $392. For children expenses, I have $0. So if you have children and you're going to write into the show, I would need to know like child care, child support, school books, enrollment, tuition, room and board, lunch fees, school uniforms, sports team fees, sporting equipment, dancing lessons, music lessons, extracurricular activity fees, etc. So anything wrapped up into children expenses you would include next. Pet expenses, pet food, pet care, litter, pet toys and treats, etc. So I have no pets, and I did not have any in 2012, so that's $0. Entertainment expenses. It says things like books, magazines, video rentals, computer video games, movies, sporting tickets, concerts, music and game downloads. All I had was $15 a month. For books, magazines, 15, movies, 30, concert tickets, 16, for a total of approximately $76 a month for entertainment. Personal care expenses, hair care, haircuts, hair coloring, hair weaving, wigs, oral hygiene products, shaving needs, cosmetics, toiletries. All of that I put like assumed in groceries, massage, manicures, etc. Obviously, I shave my head, so there's nothing for hair care products going on here or for haircuts, so all of this was zero for me. For clothing expenses, I put down $60 a month for clothes. Shoes, 15, for a total of 75 for this category. Health expenses, health club, $15, doctor, 10, for a total of 25. I'm not sure why I put doctor there for 10. I've got, I had at that time insurance, so I'm not sure why I put that there, but $25. And then there's a column for other. So vacations, donations, holiday decorations, parties, wedding gifts, holiday gifts, birthday gifts, gambling, membership dues, etc. I put down $55 for like holiday gifts, birthday gifts, etc. Then there's a category, so be thinking about what debt expenses you have, if anything. So listed here are things like credit card expenses. If you have credit card debt and if you're making payments, whether those are minimum or a little bit more, I would need to know, what are your credit card expenses? 401k loans, student loans, personal loans, bank loans, additional loans, bankruptcy payments, quarterly taxes, IRS debt repayments, etc. So anything that you have relative to that would go next. After-tax savings expenses, emergency fund, additional savings fund, educational accounts, after-tax retirement funds, Roth IRA, and then etc. So for me, emergency fund, I was putting $270 a month into my emergency fund back in 2012. I was also putting $416 into my Roth IRA, because remember, Roth accounts are funded with after-tax money in your paycheck. So at the time, $416, I do believe, was the total that you could put into, that multiplied by 12 was the total that you could put into a Roth IRA. So for me, that is $686 for after-tax savings expenses, because remember, you have to see savings as an expense. Absolutely. So my monthly summary: total income, 3,336. Total expenses, if you add all that up, 2,650. So I had in excess of $686 a month. Actually, did I do that right? The 686 is actually the after-tax savings, so this really nets to zero, I think. Let me see if I did this right. Yeah, that actually is, hold on. I should have gotten my calculator out earlier. So hopefully this is helping if you want to be on the show. So these are things I would need to know. My home expenses, remember, $1,630. Plus, my vehicle expenses at that time was $193. Plus, insurance $204. Plus, food and grocery $392. Plus, children expenses $0. Pet expenses $0. Entertainment $76. Plus, personal care expenses $0. That's wrapped up into my grocery. Clothing expenses $75. Health expenses, remember the gym membership, etc., $25. Other expenses $55. Yeah, that's the $26.50. So my take home after tax and what was going into my 401k, right? Because that is taken out before you see it in your paycheck. You don't see it in your paycheck. The 3336 minus the 2650 gives you an excess of 686, which I was then funding into the emergency account and the Roth IRA, and that would then net to $0. Yeah. So that's the first thing I would need to know about you. And then there's another tab. So next thing I would need to know is how much you have in retirement savings. At the time in 2012, I had in my 401k $138,000. I was putting in about $886. The company match at that time was $208. So you'd want to let me know, okay, what is the balance of your 401k if you have one, and what are you contributing to it? Other things under retirement savings are things like 403b, Roth IRA, the balance, of course, of the Roth IRA, then of course the contribution, the 401(k) that we saw on the previous tab. But it's more in terms of, okay, how much retirement savings do you have at this point in your life? So for me, my 401k was $138 approximately. My Roth IRA was only $35,000. So my total for retirement accounts was $173,511. $173,511. Now, liquid savings would be next. So this would be your emergency savings or savings account. What would that balance be? So this is what I like to refer to as short-term reserves. So at the time for my savings, I had $57.60 in my savings account, but I was contributing, remember, the $270 from the previous tab. That was my emergency account. I had a money market at that time, only $22,000. And so my liquid savings at that time was $27,760. And then, what investments do you have above and beyond your retirement accounts? So at that time I had a CD. The balance, or the current total, was $6,200. $6,200. Okay, so are you with me so far? So we talked about what you're putting, what your take-home pay is, what your expenses are, to get a gauge for, is that netting to $0? Do you have a good handle on how much you're spending, etc.? And then this next tab talked about the balances of your retirement accounts and any liquid savings, and also any investments that you may have as well. It is funny to me that they had CDs under the investment area, which I see that more as short-term reserves. But anyway, the next tab then is debt for home, debts for home and car. Let me scroll up to the top. The first thing it says is credit card breakdown. So if you have credit card debt, you would want to list out the total owed. I don't really need to know anything else like interest rates, etc. I would just need to know basically how much you still owe on any credit card debt. Student loan debt. If you have any student loan debt, you can list that. Other loans. Car, vehicle, boat loans. So if you have any car loans or boat loans, any medical debt, etc. And then that would be your total consumer debt. So all of that is classified as consumer debt. And then as we scroll down, we get into mortgage debt. So what would your balance be if you have a mortgage? Okay. Maybe also let me know when that would be paid off. So then your total mortgage debt would go here. Additional home information. And any other information you can give me about mortgage debt that you may have. Then vehicle debt. So yeah, it says right here I had a 1999 Mazda Miata, but I owned it outright. So if you have vehicle loan debt, you could list that for me as well. All right, so let me go back to the top. The next thing then is, well, that's pretty much it. So let me go back to the beginning then. So basically, once you do that, and if you've never done this before, this will give you a good idea if you've never really looked at everything holistically. So then you could provide that to me, and then we would know, exactly how much you have in retirement, how much of an emergency fund you have, what your investments are, would then give us your total assets. For me, in 2012, my assets were $262,000. So that included, remember the retirement account, $173,511, my emergency fund, $2,760, my investments, $6,200, and my current home value, I would need to know that from you as well, was only $55,000. Can you believe it? Do you remember I shared that with you on a previous episode? Yeah, in 2012, because after the recession, this condo went down, went from 100,000 to about 50 or 55,000. So let's just add that up, right? 173,511 was my retirement at the time in 2012, plus 27,760 was my emergency fund, plus the investment, that CD, 6,200, plus 55,000 was the current value of my home. So yeah, my total assets, 262,471. 262,471. Then all we need to do is calculate your liabilities. For me, the only liability I had was the mortgage debt, and that was $54,739. Isn't that interesting? In 2012, I owed exactly the same amount of what this property was worth. You may recall me sharing that with you. And because of Obama's plan called the HARP program, housing affordable refinance program. I was able to refinance and not have to prove that I had equity, because I had no equity. But I was able to refinance. I still had closing costs, but I was able to refinance. And her advice at that time, remember, was for me to refinance from a 30 to a 15-year mortgage. Anyway, so if we look at the 5479 really was my total debt. So what do? We take 262, 471, my assets, minus 54,739. And by the way, for you, if you have car debt, that would be part of the consumer debt number. If you have credit card debt, we would subtract that as well. So my total net worth in 2012 was $207,000 and $207,732. Yeah, 13 years ago. And I know I've said this before, but I'm amazed that, right now it's 1.7 million in 13 years. $1,700,000. What did I say just a minute ago? But my net worth is $1,700,000 minus, in 2012 it was 207. So my net worth went up 1 million, almost 1.5 million in 13 years. 1.5 million divided by 13 years, on average, it went up about 115,000 per year. Now remember, if my net worth went up 115,000 on average per year, remember how much was I putting in of my money of that 115? Like about 60,000. So maybe the gain or the dividends or the unrealized gain or interest was only about 55,000 on average per year. Yes, so just remember, if you want to build wealth quickly and you started late in life like I did, a lot of your growth is the money that you're putting in, because I was putting in a lot of my own money. But anyway, this is not about me. This is about you wanting to be on the show where I look at your money just like this. So I hope this helps. I hope it helps to, listen to this, take a few notes, provide to me like the totals. Don't get stressed out about it. Just give me the numbers that you have. Then I would look at your age. I would look at things like, is there somewhere we can maybe cut expenses? And this might be a very eye-opening experience for some of you. Think about it that way. But don't be afraid. You're never going to get to where you want to be by being afraid. I always say that. It's better to face our fears about money than to just ignore it, like I did when I was much younger. When I was 29, I had a bankruptcy, as you know. And I remember my family asked me at the time, they said, "Evan, how much debt do you have?" And I said, "I don't know," because I didn't want to add it up. I had about $40,000 worth of consumer debt in 1995. And I distinctly remember saying to my family, I had no idea how much debt I had. And they said, "Add it up." So I did. So by me sharing that with you, I hope that makes you understand and know that if you are in a little bit of denial right now about how much debt you have, I was there as well for a very long time. And you can turn your life around, financially speaking. But the first step is just to have awareness. So I hope some of you want to be on the show. Email me at evanthomasbroke@yahoo.com. Give me these numbers that I shared with you in this episode, and I'll write back to you. We'll probably have a few emails that go back and forth, maybe. And then I'll create an episode for you and share with everybody how you're doing. And I can use a fake name as well so that you can keep your privacy. But I think this will help people. I think it's going to help not only you, but also other people that are watching my channel.